It is day 6 of Draw Everything Every Day, and today we're going to be drawing a robot. And I know just the one I want to do. This is Claw. And Claw is very dusty with a lot of cobwebs on him. Okay, so the first few days were fairly basic shapes. I tried to keep them very simple, and today we're doing something a little more complicated. And the first thing I'm going to do is just pick the basic, most simplest shapes, which is just a cube. So first I'm doing obviously a square. Kind of, this is the yellow part is what I'm doing right now. And then I'm going to do the green part, which is going to be another square or rectangle. And then now I'm going to add a third dimension. Here we go, into 3 dimensions right there. Now that square or rectangle is a cube. Sorry about that. Had a phone call. Pencil sharpener. All right, all better now. So we're going to find the back of the robot. We're ignoring the arms right now. We're just finding the basic shapes. And now we're gonna start cutting those shapes up. You see maybe the top third is the eye kind of section. And then you've got the middle section, which is kind of broken up into 2 spots. Kind of goes out a little bit to here, I think. And that's the lower part. And this is the middle part, kind of that Y shape. So this is how I think remember I said I hate proportions, but this is how you do it. You have to start with a basic shape. Make sure you have your shape as close as possible to what it's going to be. Now, I've already done this drawing and I'm recording this later, but just between you and me, I did this head shape a little wider. So everything from that point on became a little too wide. But what you're going to do is you're going to create a general shape, and then you're going to work from there. And you're going to cut up that shape based on, this is 1/3 of the way, this is 2/3 of the way, this is halfway. And then you're just kind of work from that. So that's what you do when you're drawing a person, when you're drawing a place, when you're drawing anything. And this whole series, this whole exercise is to start to look at things, break them down into simple shapes, and then draw it. It's getting you to see. Another thing is, if you look, this eye kind of piece is very rounded. You know, it's not straight. Look at the bottom. It goes down a bit. It dips, and then comes back up again to the other side. I could have even pushed that a little more. But this is by the way, this is a very difficult shape to do. So we instantly went into a difficult shape. So don't get frustrated. I mess up on this 100 times. The final drawing isn't the best. My proportions are off. Whatever. It is what it is. We're just drawing to draw. Don't worry about it being perfect, because mine isn't perfect either. Far from it. Actually, I've never drawn anything perfect, and I don't think anybody has ever drawn anything perfect. So let's stop even using the word perfect. So hopefully you're looking at the same things I'm looking at, obviously, and you're just building from your first shape. You're just going to keep measuring and saying, okay, this lies about here from the side of this, or the edge of that, or this is about the center. And you're just going to keep building out from that. You'll notice, if you're really looking, you'll notice that I miss some stuff, and some of my parts don't hook up where they do in the picture. That's just life. We're not doing a technical manual that someone is, going to be life and death. It has to be perfect. We're just making art. So if things don't line up, if things aren't perfect, who cares? Again, like I said, I'm trying not to even say the word perfect, but if things aren't exactly. One of the things I'll say is those little side things just to the left of the circle I just drew and to the right of the circle I just drew. This thing right here. Come on, Scott, draw it now. Do it. There you go. Those things, this one I think is okay, but the other one, I started it out a little too far, and I messed it up. So just watch me mess up. It's hilarious. I tell you, I'm the best at being the worst at drawing. I mess up so many times. Like that's supposed to be a cylinder. It doesn't look like a cylinder on the tip. It's so bad. Pencil sharpener. Okay, look at this. So I'm looking at the original box and thinking that's the side of the robot's head. And then at some point I go, oh crap, no, it's the other line. See, here I go. And I'm like, oh man. So now that side, which should be shorter because it's on the other side, is now longer. Look at that. That's horrible. It's so bad. But I'm not erasing it. I don't care. It's just a drawing. It's just a sketch. It's just for learning. It doesn't have to be the P word. Okay? We're not saying the P word. I'm not counting the stripes or whatever these vertical lines are. I'm not trying to make it look exactly like it. I'm just indicating, I'm giving the impression in a lot of ways of what I'm seeing. This is a practice on how to see something and then draw it, but it should also be a practice on how to edit and give an impression of things that you see. These two ones are a little higher, kind of go up a little bit, and then this one kind of just runs back underneath that ear kind of thing. So I'm looking, I'm observing, but I'm not beating myself up for it not being exactly what I'm seeing. I'm just giving the impression. That's all it is. I'm not counting how many of these vertical lines there are. I'm just going to shade this in. These are horizontal lines here. So just going to do a couple horizontal lines and then shade that in. And then just constantly redefining the shapes. And then, so this part here, if you look, it's kind of like a honeycomb shape for the eye thing. And I'm not going to go and draw each individual honeycomb shape. So I'm just going to do kind of a crisscross pattern just to kind of get the point across. Again, it doesn't need to be exactly like what I'm seeing. I'm doing what gets the point across and is the easiest thing for me to do because I'm just sketching. This isn't like a product, like I'm doing the artwork for the box or anything like that. I'm just doing a quick little impression of what I'm seeing. And here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I did a little crisscross pattern, but take a look at the robot itself. Look at that. See that? It's kind of like I said, like little honeycombs, little bubbles. If you wanted to make it look exactly like that, you could, but the point is you don't have to. Just give the impression of it. Okay, so now I'm going to start adding the roundedness of the front. And that's it. I'm just eyeballing, I'm looking, I'm saying, okay, I'm going to start here and kind of go around there. And I think I'm going to need to do, yep, I broke, look at that. I hate that. All right, pencil sharpener. Stupid thing's not working. Come on. Okay. Literally the worst part about drawing with colored pencils is they break so easily, but I love them so much. It's a love-hate relationship. And now we're at the point where I'm going to answer some questions. Thank you again for leaving me comments with some questions. And here we go. So Ariana asks, what is your favorite show and or movie? My favorite show, I've got a few. There's Avatar: The Last Airbender. There's The West Wing, Justified, the original Law and Order. I think those are my favorites. My favorite movie is The Princess Bride. Okay, next question. Caleb Wiseman asks, has there ever been a piece of advice given by a teacher, peer, or random stranger that stuck with you forever? That's a really good question. This one isn't an art question, an art bit of advice. This was actually a writing advice. So around 2003, I decided I wanted to try an epic fantasy based on all my favorite things. And so I came up with this story called The Dreamland Chronicles, which I turned into a webcomic. And I didn't know how to write. I wasn't a writer. And so what I did was I actually went to my friend Marv Wolfman, who was a famous comic book writer, and I asked him to help me. And he gave me this one bit of advice, and it stuck. And it was, write down who your characters are at the beginning of the story and who they become at the end of the story. And that just was so eye-opening, because suddenly my characters all had their own story. I wasn't telling a story. I was creating a world with characters that grew because of the events in the story. And I think that was like the best advice I could get. Pencil sharpener. Another question. This one's from Tabbopi, Tabbopi. The question is, why do you sketch with colored pencils and not with a number 2 pencil? The reason why is I like the softness of the colored pencils, and watercolor pencils are soft too, and I like that. So yeah, I think I spent so many decades working in colored pencils that to me sketching with them is just kind of natural. The other thing that's really kind of cool is it's almost impossible to completely erase a colored pencil, so it kind of forces me to live with the mistakes, and I think that's kind of a fun exercise. All right, another question is Aya, Iyah, asks me, if you were to stick to eating only one food, what would you eat? Chicken noodle soup. It's healthy, and it's easy on my stomach. So I like homemade chicken noodle soup. Andrea Padilla asks, since I've already worked in comics and my visual style storytelling is astounding, thank you. Do you have any advice to center the story in a limited amount of panels, or to tell a story with pictures? I'm trying to figure it out, but writing lets me explain more than drawing sometimes. Well, honestly, when I started doing comics, especially Spider-Man, when I started to do interior work, I had spent so much time in animation that I see panels like frames of animation, and so when I did Spider-Man, I was seeing the motion, and I wanted to show each bit of that. But really, I think if you're doing the writing, you shouldn't really worry about how many panels or pages. I know it takes longer, but let your pages breathe. If you have a lot going on, I hate panels that cram a lot into, like, a lot of dialogue or a lot of action into a single panel or a single page. Let it breathe. Give your characters a beat. Give them a moment. Let them pause. Let them just sit there. Have those panels where nothing is happening, just to kind of show that moment of quiet before something happens. At least that's my opinion. Craigman's Cavern / Tom Zarka says, how do you find something to draw every day? Can you give us a little overview of what your life is like finding things to draw? So drawing something like this is just everyday household stuff. And I don't really do this anymore because I am making videos every day. When it comes to those videos, I do spend a lot of time Googling and looking for models or musicians or whatever, and I'm looking for something that interests me. But to do something like this is just grabbing a toy off the shelf or grabbing a bottle of salt or a salt shaker or something. That's just practice. So this is practice, but the stuff that I'm doing where I'm painting, that is research. And you really need to research other art styles and models and cosplays or places or, hold on, pencil sharpener. Whatever it is that interests you, research it and draw it. Okay, and I think the last question will be from Catholic Kathy, who says, if you could only ever draw one category of things, what would you draw? I.e. celebrities, family, animals, flowers, foods, buildings. I think for me it would be fantasy. It's just I love long hair and elven ears and dragons and things like that. I've always loved that stuff. So for me, if I had to pick one thing, I would make my art just purely escape. I like painting celebrities and stuff, but if I could, I would paint purely escapism. And Catholic Kathy also has another good question. At least I think it's a good question. But first, it looks like I'm going to white pencil, so pencil sharpener. Wait for it. There we go. Okay, question number 2 is, out of all of the jobs you've had, which one was your favorite and or which one challenged and taught you the most? I think for sentimental reasons, Spider-Man was definitely the fulfillment of my childhood dreams. So that was definitely that. But I mean, I've had some really cool jobs working on Casper and Power Rangers, doing video games, making my own movie like Animal Crackers. I've written books, etc. So Spider-Man is definitely the sentimental favorite. The one that challenged me the most, gotta be making Animal Crackers. Okay, I guess there's time for one more question because I'm still working in this white pencil outline here. So Marin, M-A-R-I-N, asks, what do you think of the pure idea of communism? I don't know really anything about communism. I was not good at school. I didn't study social studies. Oh, pencil sharpener. Okay. I wasn't really big on social studies and whatnot. I have gotten more politically minded as I've gotten older. Once you have kids, you have a responsibility and you start to think about the world a little more because you're leaving the world to your kids and you want it to be as good as possible. But if I was to ever have to answer that question, I would educate myself on it. I don't believe people should be having conversations about politics or medicine or science or anything without educating themselves from smart people, learning from that, because I'm not prepared to answer something like that. I'd be happy to have that conversation, but I would need to take some time and learn. And honestly, I think we should have these discussions. I think my friend Kim Diaz Home is very open about his political beliefs and all of that. I like to have this channel be positive and be welcoming for everybody, and so I stay away from things like that. But I do like to talk about it because I like to learn, and I think that's something we should all do. We should all be looking to learn and better ourselves and the world around us. Okay, I did it. I finished this one too. Almost 20 minutes. I hope you enjoyed it, and please leave me questions for next time. And I might pick something like a race car or something else for next time. But if you have any suggestions of things you'd like me to sketch, let me know. Thanks again.